So I'm going to pick up Mike from his house in Salem, and we're heading down to Samuel Adams Brewery. That's the big announcement. That's what we've been waiting to unleash on the world. We're taping our first on-site podcast at the Samuel Adams Brewery in Boston, Mass. They had contacted us a couple weeks ago and said, yes, we'd love to have a guest on the show. And as we're going back and forth, discussing who would be on it and all that, I decided, you know what? Since they're gracious enough to put someone on our show, why don't we just come on down there and tape it ourselves? And it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes, because we're so used to just hopping on Google Hangout and doing it that way. But I think it'll be cool, because with a brewery like Samuel Adams, especially on National Lager Day, even though I'm not a big beer holiday fan, but my favorite beer of all time is the Samuel Adams Boston Lager. So I think this is the proper place, the proper time to do a tour and a podcast at Samuel Adams. So we'll see how it goes. See you guys there.
So Brian,
So here we are, 4 of us. We're down in Carla today, but it's a very special day, National Lager Day, and what better place to spend it than Samuel Adams Brewery. So myself, Mike, Sean, Norm are in attendance at the brewery right now, and we're here, and we're actually all drinking the Samuel Adams Boston Lager. There's no better beer to be drinking on this day. And here we have with us is Jen, the brewery manager.
I can't say it's not my first beer of the day, but it just So I'm Jennifer Glanville. I'm a brewer and the brewery manager here, so I'm really excited to have you guys here, especially on National Lager Day, which showcasing our Boston Lager. I've had a couple today, just in honor of the day. So, yeah.
can you go over exactly what a brewery manager is, just in a brief synopsis?
Yeah, since we only have an hour, I'm not going to share everything that I do. What's really great, I think there's no typical day, which is what I really love about working here. A lot of my focus is on new beers, and this, as you're aware here at the brewery, this is our R&D brewery. So most of the beer that we make out of here is all test brews. So that, to me, is really exciting, because it's always changing, and it gives us the opportunity to be really creative and innovative, and Jim just really loves and encourages us to focus on that. So that's one of my favorite parts of the job. We also have some beers that we make for the local market. We make beers that we serve in our tour center here for our visitors. We have a lot of events for locals, like our open houses. We make beers that we personally like to drink. I have been making an oyster stout here for years. I grew up on the Cape in the summers and have a house in Wellfleet, and I love oysters. And I don't even know if it was 7 or 8 years ago, they have the Wellfleet Oyster Fest. And so I remember reading a book about brewing with oysters, and called up some of my other brewing friends and talked to everybody here, and they're like, don't put oysters in your beer, just whatever. And the sort of the urban legend was that it would make a dry stout sweeter and smoother. So I did it, and I remember, I'm like, I gotta tell Jim I'm gonna be putting 30 to 50 pounds of oysters in some of his equipment here, but let's see. And we ended up putting in the whirlpool, so we've been making that, and to me that's just really fun that we can do that. So we have enough time to focus on just really fun things like that, and who knows if they're able to go anywhere, but if you go to Oyster Fest, you can taste that. So we have those things, and then we obviously have our visitor center here, where we have people come in, really try to educate people on craft beer. As you guys are aware, just with this growth, and everybody's just really interested on not only where the beer is coming from, or their beer and food, but what is the company like? And if we can find ways to educate people, not just on Sam Adams, but on craft beer in general, that's great for the whole industry. So we really focus a lot on that. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that's just not probably particularly exciting. And on the administrative side, probably my favorite project here, which I'm excited to taste you guys on, is the Utopias. So I'm a big fan of single malts and aging in wood, and been fascinated by it for a long time. And I've been here for 11 and a half years, so I was here for the first Utopias that we did. And to me, just really continuing to learn about what flavors you can derive from the wood and wood aging, that's probably my favorite project here that I get to work on. And it is patience. I sort of laughed that I would have been a distiller in another life, but I'm actually not sure I have the patience, because sometimes I don't even want to wait 6 or 8 months for the beer to be ready. So I'm not sure I could wait like 20 years. They always say the distiller is making it for the next generation. So I like to also have some myself, of course. Yeah, so that's a lot of what I do here.
So at one point, Utopias was considered to be the highest, the strongest beer in the world. And in the recent years, it's changed multiple times, and there's been, a couple of breweries that are using ice methods to be able to create a higher concentration. Did you feel sad when that sort of position of being the highest or the strongest beer in the world sort of went away? And what are your thoughts around what others are doing?
It's funny. I mean, I think, from a personal perspective, since it's something that, I work on, it's not about beating the record or being the strongest. I mean, for us, it was always about what flavors are we contributing, and the alcohol is part of that flavor component. I mean, it's, you can definitely taste the heat, and it can be leaner, and, we want to make sure that we're still having a lot of complex flavors for people. So as we've increased the alcohol, we were trying to work on the flavor as well. So to me, that's the challenge. It's always interesting to push the envelope and see how high you can get the alcohol. So I think that's what we push ourselves for. I mean, to be the strongest beer in the world, it was cool. I think when it first happened, it was like, wow, we hit this. But we're really competitive with ourselves, and I think that's the only thing that we're trying to do is just make the best beer possible and challenge ourselves and learn more about fermentation. And people think, well, you already know it. I mean, we're always learning, and I think that's why you'll see that there's different flavors and there is different alcohol content in the Utopias. We've been able to push it and get it up now to 29% alcohol. The these ice fortified or ice method. As you know, with the New England weather, it is 60 degrees. I haven't been outside all day. I heard it was 60. A couple of years ago, I really wanted to make some ice beer, and we were experimenting, and I did it in January, and I put a barrel out on the loading dock, and it was cold for about a week, and that was really exciting. And then we had a spell like this, and it was like 63 degrees, and I just left it there, and after a week, it started to smell a little, and I was like, this isn't going to work out. So I've tried to experiment with the ice. I haven't, with the New England weather, we haven't been very successful, so maybe we'll see it this winter if I can get a cold snap that will be long enough.
Yeah. How do you think this vintage compares to past vintages?
It's like a baby. It's like my favorite this year. This year's my favorite. This year is one of my favorites, and the reason is I was really excited when I was talking to Jim about, what are we looking for this release? We typically release every other year, so in thinking about what I've learned over time about the flavors in the Utopias, knowing that some of the liquid we'll see just about a year as opposed to 2 years, and then we will be blending it, and part of the process is, we, like any distiller, we take from each barrel. So some beer is 20 years old, and then we have some beer that's a year old, and we have it all on the table, and we do the tasting, and that's how we create the blend. And thinking about what I've learned over time was, some of this liquid may be a little leaner, and it can be sort of hot and lean, and you don't get as much of the flavors. So trying to think about what kind of finishing barrels can we use. We know the flavors we get from Buffalo Trace barrels that we use. So what can we really look at? So I was interested. I looked at some Scotch barrels from Isla. Those are a little more intensive on the peaty side, but what can we get from that? And ended up using some rum barrels from Nicaragua, from Florida Cana, and they were 7 years rum spent in the barrels. And it's really, to me, that was really exciting because we haven't done anything with rum before. And then we used some tawny port, which we had used before. And then we have a really good relationship with the Coopers, you've been in our barrel room, the Coopers there. And I called him up and just said, what else do you have? What do you know that's going to be coming available? And he had some vintage port barrels that were 10 to 15 years old. So I just said, load them up, and it was funny. They came in a container, and you opened up, and it smelled kind of musty, but it was almost like a sweet kind of musty smell. And they were just, scarred up, ugly, ugly looking barrels. But so to me, this flavor that we got, I think you get hints of that in there, and it is always a little bit, you get that sweet, you get some of the sort of roasted notes in it. We used a little smoked malt in this version as well, this release, but I think you get a lot of like leather and tobacco and a lot of bright red fruit notes. So I think, I thought this was pretty interesting this year, and I thought it definitely, people who may have had it before would notice a difference with the flavor.
Now, for a beer as intense as this, you've been brewing beer, you pioneered the craft beer scene basically, and how hard was it to convince the regular beer drinker to kind of get into this world and taste this style of beer?
I think mostly they just doubted that it would taste like, they just doubted that, how can you make a beer that would taste like this? And, I don't like to use comparisons to say it's like a cognac or a sherry or a port, but those are the things people know, right? So those kind of flavors. So depending on what you've had or what you're familiar with, you will find notes of that. Yeah. So I think there were just a lot of skeptics, like, okay, it's this high in alcohol. You say you brew it with, these ingredients. What kind of flavor could I possibly get? And then you pour it out and they're looking at it. Okay, this looks a little different. But I think it was the tasting. I still love when people taste it who haven't had it before, and they're almost every time, 9 times out of 10, they're like, "This is beer." So I think it's obviously it's a limited release, so sometimes it can be harder to get. But we try to bring it to all the local beer festivals, and when we have a release, so people can try it. And I think that's the reaction we get a lot.
Yeah, and sitting here, a foot away from it, I can smell it from here, which is I can't smell the Boston lager, which it's at first you get that scent, and it's like, we're about to get into something pretty serious. That's still in the craft beer game.
Yeah, I know, I just got a big whiff of it too. Yeah.
And I'm pretty proud to say too, this is my maiden voyage. I've never actually had any of the Utopias
Any of it?
before. No, I haven't. I've tried to get my hands on some before. I've had the opportunity, but I just couldn't make it over there. So I figured this is the only way.
Well, now you know
should
me,
try
so
it.
just
Yeah.
come by.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
had to break into here.
That's-
You'll have him here every Monday now.
Oh, he's here like all the time.
I think it's
Oh
like
my God, Norma's here again.
I think it's four times in the last 30
It
days.
is Well, it's funny because I do love cooking with this, and then I'll tell them, "Oh, I love cooking with Utopias," and they'll say, "Well, how do you get to do that?" And then I'm like, "Oh, because I siphon some out of a barrel in the barrel, and I bring it home. I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
I know
So-
the Sunset Grill used to make an ice cream with Utopias, which I thought it tasted fantastic. I was like, it almost felt like they were wasting. It's like it's like $10 for a little scoop like this too. So,
well, what I did do a couple years ago because I wanted to make, I wanted to have a stock of it at home. So we had the barrels when they're emptied, and you get down to a certain point, but there's also some charred wood left in the barrel. So we just get to a certain point. So I actually started siphoning it out, and I filtered it out through coffee filters. And it was a long process, but I got like a whole Nalgene that I took home, and I was so proud of myself. I was like, well, this wasn't even going to go anywhere. So yeah, it was really good. So, we can taste it since it's been poured. You'll notice, maybe not Mike, but this is darker than you might have seen in the past. So we picked up a lot of color in the finishing barrels. And you may notice if you've had it before, it definitely has the aroma of the alcohol. It's higher in alcohol, but also just being a little younger. It will age over time, and I think as it oxidizes a little, some of that sort of leanness and that slickness will tone down.
Just for those who may not be familiar, can you just go through the process, like from a top level of what you do to make Utopias and different than the Boston Lager?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point, because that's a question people ask all the time is, well, how is it different? So this is a beer. It's brewed exactly like a beer. We use the same ingredients. We do use maple syrup as a fermentable sugar and as a flavor. So we use New England Vermont maple syrup. So it has the grade A, and it has almost, not really a smokiness, but almost like a toastedness with it, almost like a molasses, like a little earthy note to it as well. We actually have to watch the fermentation of Utopias for 2 weeks straight. So when we brew Utopias, it's really like a month long here that we're just really focused on this. But for 2 weeks, there's someone here 24 hours a day just to make sure that we can keep the yeast alive and functioning at the level that we need them to be. So it's sort of like, children, everybody's taking a shift, everybody's watching.
Is that temperature control, or what do you?
It is. They're in the regular fermentation tanks.
But when you're watching,
well, we're watching the cell counts, but we also, because we'll pump in additional fermentable sugars like the maple syrup as needed to keep the yeast alive.
Okay.
So we're using an ale yeast, and then we use a champagne yeast.
So it's kind of like feeding a newborn baby.
It is, yep. Up all night.
Nice and perfect.
We just actually brewed a little while ago, and one of our brewers just had a baby, so I was like, oh, he's been up for like a month and a half straight now. Utopias and his real baby. Yeah.
He's already used to it, so.
Yeah, you can take the next 2 weeks as well. So bring your baby in. So yeah, that's the process. And it's the same amount of time. It's about 4 weeks, so it is an ale, but it's about 4 weeks. And then it immediately goes into the bourbon barrels, the Buffalo Trace barrels, and there we'll just sit. We don't touch it until we want to do the finishing. And the finishing will last, depending on what barrels we have. Now I hadn't used any rum barrels before or the vintage. So I did a little more limited time. I mean, ideally you'd have 3 to 6 month in finishing barrels, and we just did just about 2 months in those, just thinking that the flavor is more intensive and it might pick up a lot more flavor, which it did. In the tawny, we had about 3 months into the finishing. So, and it will finish in that, and then we'll take those, we do the tasting for the blend that we want, and then we create that blend. We'll create that blend in a tank, and then it's all hand bottled. So we'll put it in these kind of 350 gallon totes, stainless steel totes, and we pump out of there and just hand bottle like a home brewer does.
Wow. So when you blend it, is it kind of like someone's there mixing it around, making sure that it's all sort of mixing together, or how does that blend?
Yeah, so we'll take, if it's 20 of these barrels and 10 of these, and we'll use a pump, and we'll pump that into a larger tank. So then those 20 go in, that 10 goes in, and then we'll agitate it, mix it around, and then then we'll take it out.
And what goes into the equation? Like, how do you know that you want 10 of this, 20 of that, or?
Just hopefully by consensus of everybody at the table. So we do a tasting with Jim, and we typically will do a tasting where we're taking the notes down. We'll do some preferences. This is what I really liked about this. I'd rank these 2 higher, and then we will go around and talk about them. And then, usually we've all been doing this for long enough. We're usually pretty much in alignment on a lot of the flavors that we're looking for. And then we'll do some benchtop blends right away, right there.
So you'll just blend them together.
So we blend them in, taste that. Okay, this is good. This is, what we want more of there was more sort of savory notes from that barrel. Let's take that. We are blending in some triple bock from 20 years ago, right? So that flavor component that's adding, that really has a lot of the leather. It has sort of a soy sauce is kind of a characteristic of it. So, I mean, it doesn't sound good, but they're all positive for blending into the final blend.
Cool. The thing I like about this is just compared to even like a liquor, the same sort of, basic strength, like, almost 60 proof. There's an alcohol burn, but it's not as much as like a liquor of the same strength.
It seems to go away really quick.
Yeah.
It's too smooth, and the sweetness is
Right.
Yeah, because every time I let someone try a little of mine at home, everyone's like,
A little, you're like, here, you can.
yeah.
He weaves it in front of him. Here, you can look at it.
Why are you staring at me?
I'll breathe on you. But this is the same
Let
thing.
me drink it, and you can watch.
Yeah, but they all say the same thing. It's like, I can't believe this. Like, it's that strong. You know what I mean? They could taste the booze, but there's some 10% alcohol beers that have just as much boozy taste.
I was just going to say that, yeah. I mean, you'll drink some beers that are just hot, right? 10%,
Yeah.
12% alcohol.
Yeah.
It's a nice burn, but it definitely has that really, from the moment it's on your palate, you can taste the heat. And I think this definitely lingers later. You can feel a little of the alcohol.
But not really much on your tongue.
No.
Yeah.
It's pretty soft on the palate considering that it's 29%. But I think that's a lot of just the flavor characteristics that are in it. A lot of the spirits that you're talking about too. I mean, the base of it is really hot, right? So it's that sort of
Burns.
neutral spirit that.
Yeah.
Now, is Utopias released every year?
It has been every other year, and this year we released 2011 and then also in 2012 for the 10-year anniversary. We really felt that was important to do. We had this, I don't know if you guys want to take a look at the bottle, but I was really, we've had the copper bottle in the past, and I just thought this was a really cool bottle just to celebrate the anniversary.
Yeah, the doors on that, it's great. Wow. Yeah. Oh, and they actually move?
Yeah.
Well, the first year...
How much money went into the bottle?
What's the base price?
The first year, I will never forget this. Jim was in my office, and we were just like, "Oh, this is so beautiful," And then he's like, "The doors don't open and close. They're man-ways. They have to open and close." And I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't do the bottle." And he's like, he looks at me. He's like, "Make sure these doors open and close for the next one." So they've opened and closed since.
I was gonna say.
I like the older bottles have like Sam Adams underneath the doors that open up.
That's cool.
I remember that first year. It was actually looked a little goofy, like he was just.
He was nervous.
Yeah.
But it truly is a beautiful bottle. I mean, that's a decorative piece.
I know people buy the empty bottles just because they want the empty bottles.
Yeah. Now, I had a question. Oh yeah, so how is this properly served? Obviously, probably glass like this, but do you recommend just a little bit, over time and save some throughout the next couple of years? Is that recommended, or would you rather, this year and buy again next year?
I think it depends on a person's level of patience, if they can wait. I mean, so the beer, won't age significantly, but it will mellow out a little bit, especially because it typically will just have a crown on here like this, right? And then you take it off, and then you'll just be sealing with this. So I know people who have come here that have never even opened the bottle from 10 years ago. And they're like, no, I'm just saving it. It just, and I'm like, well, this looks the same on your bar, whether it's full or empty. And, I mean, God forbid something happened to you, you're going to, you get hit by a car, you're going to be laying there like, damn, I should have tasted that Utopias. So
I still have my
maybe that's just me.
That's everyone's last thought.
It
too.
could be me.
I still have my 2007 unopened at home, in the original box that it came in and everything.
So, I mean, I would open it if it was me.
I still have my 2007 with a bit in it.
Yeah.
It's very tasty.
I still have my 2012 with just like this much left.
But I would serve it, and actually, this is a special glass that we have, but we also, I would just, even a snifter glass. I mean, you definitely want to be able to swirl it and open it up.
So you wouldn't use a Sam Adams perfect pint?
Even I couldn't really be drinking Utopias out of that.
There's some proper lacing on the glass. It seems like if you put a little bit, it would kind of lose its way along the way.
Yeah, that's what I would drink it. I don't believe
Food pairings.
Well, I always like to say I think like a cigar is my favorite thing. With
Fair enough.
I know it's not food, but that's
no.
You could go with all of the typical things like chocolate's really nice with it. You can, like cheesecakes are nice, especially because something that's a little more with fatty dairy notes or something that's a little richer, because this is the alcohol. It doesn't have the carbonation that beer does, but the alcohol will definitely sort of cleanse that off. So. And I think things that have a little caramelized, like something like a creme brulee, because it's a little sweet but toasty, that's kind of nice with that. And then even things with fruit, it will bring out a lot of the brighter kind of fruit notes that are in here. This tends to have more dates and raisins, figs, but you can brighten that up a little bit if you pair it with something with like some raspberries or berries on it.
And you said earlier that you experiment with cooking with it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your favorite dishes, for anybody that's willing to try?
Well, I have been making a vodka sauce for pasta with this in it, and it's so good because just the sweetness of it.
Seems counterintuitive. You do this and then vodka, or is
No vodka.
You substitute it.
But that's, no, not both.
Only a Food Network.
You're like, she's got a real problem.
Yeah, he's like, who are supposed to be debating with her?
Cut. Vodka sauce.
No, but it's the vodka style sauce, but instead of vodka, I use Utopias.
I'm no longer watching TV.
But if you want to use a lesser amount, things like caramelizing onions in this is great. Something like that where you're not using too much of it, I think are good. I've actually drizzled a little of our steak on the grill. We were talking about that. It just really meshes with a lot of the caramelized.
But like the tiniest bit.
Yeah.
The world's most expensive marinade after a while.
But yeah, so those are kind of the kinds of things that I like. Desserts are great with it to make things,
Yeah. It's good that you mentioned chocolate because we all also have this in front of us.
I know, well, we can.
Sammy Adams chocolate
Norm's the
bar.
king of segues, as we call him on our show.
Well, I was telling him I had the pleasure of Brad, who is the chocolatier at Cho in San Francisco, was here today, and we were doing a tasting, and he wanted to come by and see the brewery. So I was like, when people say, how was your day? How's your day, honey? Well, I had to have Boston Lager and chocolate this morning, so. This is actually a really fun project we worked on with Cho, where inside here you'll have a variety of chocolates, these great little chocolates here, and then we worked on some pairings with our winter classics. So we could go through that if you guys like chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pronounced Cho?
Cho.
Okay, so it doesn't stand for anything.
That's the same question I had right before you guys got here.
I'm going to repeat the story if I think I have it right, is that the owners are German, and they were just wanted a placeholder for the name when they were starting the company, and so they used Cho as a placeholder, and then it just kind of stuck, and they didn't like the way it looked. And we actually, our chocolate block, we use the nibs from Cho. So we, years ago, were looking, even when we have made a beer and released a beer, we're always curious about, that was a great ingredient that year. What, do we want to use the same ingredient? So we really were interested in learning more about nibs and more about chocolate and where it comes from. So we started working with Cho and, just learning a lot about the difference between the West African nibs and Ecuadorian. And it was really fascinating. So we did all these trials here and we ended up picking the main nib that we use is Ecuadorian. And it has sort of some brighter notes, but it also has a real clean chocolate note, and that's what we wanted for the chocolate bock. So we've had a long relationship with them. They have a lot of the same philosophies we do on sort of hand sourcing ingredients and the quality, etc. So it's been a fun relationship, and it's just another fun thing to do with them and look at, because chocolate and beer, people usually assume it should be like a porter or stout or something with more roasted notes. And I mean, my favorite pairing is actually the lager, and I wasn't really sure, knowing that this is balanced and has great malt and toffee notes and great hop notes. I actually wasn't sure how that was going to pair with chocolate, but it was really, really good. And it's in here. It's the dark chocolatey, which is this one right here. You guys want to try it? Yeah.
If you're out at the store, how do you get the chocolate?
So you can buy these on cho.com.
Okay.
And you could buy them hopefully this week at the brewery.
Nice.
Any day. Actually, I'm supposed to get them by Wednesday. So we'll be selling them here, and I think they're maybe $16 or $17. So, I mean, it's a nice gift. Has a little thing like for the beer lover.
This packaging is amazing, too, by the way.
I like
that
that.
it's a magnetized top is unbelievable.
Yeah, and this is a good size.
Right, yeah, it's truly above and beyond.
So this chocolate box goes with the beers that come in the winter variety pack. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you'll see on this it has, it is miniature, but and we have our new White Christmas in here. So we
Weren't you
heard that
dreaming
one.
about that?
I have it. I'm not dreaming about 60-degree Christmas right now.
I know it's
I'd be happy for a 70-degree Christmas.
I thought you were gonna break out in song.
no.
Right, very close. The soundtracks and the extras. Right.
Well, I'll pass around some of these winter classics if you wanna.
Cool.
So where did you say the chocolate company's from?
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Chocolate book.
So we have the Holiday Porter, the Old Fezziwig, Winter Lager, and we have Chocolate Bock, and then our new beer this year in the mixed pack is the White Christmas. I don't know if you've heard of that or had it before.
How different is it than your other white, the Sam Adams white?
It's a lot different. I mean, it is a white beer, but it has just the nutmeg, cinnamon, and orange peel. So you're getting a little citrus note, but you're getting a lot of warmth from the nutmeg and the cinnamon, some heat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than the regular white.
Yeah, and the white, with 10 herbs and spices, that whole flavor profile is just completely different. Some people get the citrus notes, some people get the earthy notes. We have tamarind in there, so it had a lot of different flavors in it. And this, I think, really focuses, it's got that nice warming, so it does kind of lend itself to the winter time, but it's crisp and refreshing too, which is nice. Change from all the big malty beers you usually get around the holidays.
I gotta say, the Old Fezziwig is one of my favorite
I have more.
holiday beers.
I'm sorry.
Sean's got a heavy hand over here. Jeez.
Well, no, it's because if I passed you an empty
No,
bottle,
don't pass me an empty bottle.
I know, Sean's like,
You won't get invited back if you pass me an empty bottle.
that's like one of the rudest things you could ever do.
Exactly. Thanks for nothing. Well, you're lost because I have all the full ones now here. So.
I actually thought, I had this last week, I actually thought the chocolate block and the milk chocolate, I thought it was going to be too chocolatey,
Yeah.
chocolate, but I actually thought that one worked really well.
Yeah, especially I think because it's creamier almost. It's not just that dark roasted note.
Am I missing a beer? Wow. Which one am I missing?
it's in the big glass. This guy.
Oh, I did, yeah. I don't have any.
So you can go.
You need more lager.
What's the last one we just passed? What's the last one we passed? Oh, okay.
You should have thought it.
Yeah.
Well, you got five. I think you stole one of mine. That's why.
Thank you.
Boy, you guys you're a tough crowd.
We don't really like each other.
We don't. So.
Is this why you guys are usually
I was
separate?
gonna say.
Yeah.
Just
So
a little
there's no
bit.
fighting?
It's our own safety, really.
We never won lost in order.
Right now. I don't even like these guys.
Not true.
Holiday Porter, dark, nutty.
That's easy enough to pair it, which is good. It's usually you get a box of chocolates with nothing. You don't know what's what.
No, I
Oh,
definitely.
and then you bite it and you're like, oh, I don't like this one.
Which
You
is
know.
why you can find that little treasure map that says
Yes,
this one is a coconut
yeah.
one.
You can always tell how many people are going through it as you see little finger holes
Yeah.
in the.
Exactly.
Oops! Oh, that's a white one. I don't like the white inside.
And this is fun for me because I really hadn't thought about all the flavors of chocolate a lot before, and there's so many synergies with beer. I mean, they're very complex. I went today, you know, chocolate has over 900 flavor compounds. So if you think about a lot of flavors of beer, the chocolate has a lot. So what I think is fun is people can follow this and do some pairing, but they can also sort of explore and experiment on their own.
Do you think you want to lead us through a tasting of what we should be looking for and how to?
Sure. I'm not going to tell you what you're going to be looking for. You're going to tell me.
Uh-oh.
I think I can read this. No, I won't.
You can't. You
No
can't.
cheat sheet. I won't.
I guess, I mean, the first thing with the Boston Lager, what I think you should focus on, I mean, we know the balance of this beer, it's complex yet balanced, which makes it, you know, drinkable and has a lot of flavor. But I think if you think the chocolate's very dark, but it actually has some nice citrus notes. So I sort of find up front, I get some of that sweetness from the malt and some toffee and caramel notes. But the chocolate actually really brightens up some of these citrus notes from the Hallertau Middle Fruit. So you may get some orange or lemon kind of citrus notes. So
Which one again? We're doing the Boston
with
first?
the Boston Lager with the
Dark chocolate.
dark chocolate.
This chocolate even smells amazing.
And I would leave a little chocolate in your mouth while you're having some of the beer, so it's kind of melting a little bit. And it sort of has this echo effect, so it lingers for a bit. If you just let that sit there, it continues to drive
Something
flavor,
else.
which is
The
nice.
Boston Lager and the dark. This one.
I mean, people typically think about wine with chocolate, that's the
Right.
natural pairing.
Right.
But you know, the carbonation is great because it sort of cleanses your palate right naturally, so you're ready for the next bite. And I think just all the flavors that you can get, and the alcohol is a little lower. This is what my family thinks I do all day long. Eat chocolate.
Now we have video proof of it.
Wait,
so-
now's your
Yeah.
chance,
Now I'm
right?
done.
We're locked in.
No, Mom and Dad, I don't.
So how did the pairings come? Was it beer first, chocolate second? Or did you give the list to Cho and say pair chocolate?
So Cho sent me top chocolates, a few more than these, and then we knew that we wanted to look at the Winter Classic. So obviously I'm familiar with beer. So then I started tasting the chocolate, and I was just kind of making notes of some things I thought. Then I went back and I had it with the beer. And some of the ones I thought I would like better, I didn't. I moved them all around, and then I had sent some beer out to San Francisco for them to taste, and then we had a call where they talked about what they got, and it was really funny. We were really in alignment on a lot of things, so that was pretty fun. And then I loved it because Brad said, well, you know what we should do is we should actually revisit this in a couple days and do another tasting. I'm like, eat more chocolate and drink more beer at work? Okay. You sure we shouldn't do this every day just to make sure we really, really like the pairing?
Chocolate's
So,
good for fighting cancer.
It's true. I mean, beer's good for you too. So
beer is good. I mean, this is really,
Win-win.
this is healthy.
Yeah.
It's mental health.
How did this whole idea come together though, just to do the chocolate box? 'Cause I know you did previously. You did like we talked about earlier, Boston Lager cut and
Yeah.
things like. How did you decide to do this?
We love our relationship with them and working with them. So we've had their chocolate before, and just thinking about, I had been working a lot on Boston Lager and chocolate, and they had sent me some chocolate, and that's how this first one came about with the dark chocolatey. So then thinking, like, well, what if we could do something for people to help them learn more and educate them more about beer and chocolate? What would be the best way? This pack is nice. It's a variety of different beers, so it's sort of a natural fit. And it just seems like the holiday time would also encourage people to give it as a gift. Or so I think that's part of what we're trying to get people to experiment and explore. I mean, we do beer dinners, and I try to tell people I can give you suggestions. I mean, as a brewer, I probably have a little more lingo than the person at the beer dinner. But you should go home, and if you have a favorite food and a favorite beer, try to make them work, because they probably will. I mean, it's all, it's all what you like. So nobody can tell you what you like.
Right.
We can suggest it, but you may go through this and say, you know what, I actually prefer the winter lager with, the classic or something.
Well, it can kind of be a fun game too. It's like, what do you think of like this combination and whatnot? Just because everybody has different.
Yeah, that's
taste
what
preferences.
I mean. This is not overly descriptive because I really wanted people. I put some notes in it, but you really want people to experiment on their own. So.
And the percentages on the descriptions? On the, where it says, for example...
That is the level of cacao
Okay.
in the chocolate.
Okay.
Nice.
I think my favorite, just chocolate itself, was the Serious Milk chocolate. Just a...
Spoiler alert, we haven't even got there yet.
I'm sorry, I had them all.
Jumping the
She was
gun.
quiet over there.
Just in case you guys didn't know, I've had these before.
No, my point is, I just thought that was
Well,
the
he
best
did
of
get
the
here
chocolate.
early, so.
Yeah, I mean, I had
To the victor goes
Press,
the spoils, huh?
pressing on. Yeah. We have, what would you suggest is next? Right down
Yeah, I think you can just right down the line there with the winter lager.
for us as the last on this one.
To me, the most interesting thing is that chocolate has so many citrus notes in it, which I hadn't really thought about before.
Interesting.
And so I think that will bring out, obviously winter lager has orange peel in it, so you're going to get some of that. But again, with the Boston lager, I was getting the citrus notes from the hops with that. So the chocolate will drive some of the flavors. And you want to complement or contrast, obviously. And some of these, like the echo effect with that was really nice. But you could find some that, the milk, the classic, that's a little milkier. The chocolate buck pairing one, that was a little milkier chocolate. So, thinking some people would think, should it be dark chocolate with the chocolate buck? But this actually cut that dairy creamy note was really nice with it.
Love this packaging.
You're in on it.
I'm in. I'm sold.
Sold, got it.
I could get you a few more boxes. You can just have it at your house.
Just magnetic box or whatever.
Might have to talk out the camera. Might think we're taking bribes.
Is that one of the, is that one of the cameras?
No.
I gotta turn that off.
That's the brewer whistle.
Yeah.
Oompa Loompas now come out the
Right.
side.
Exactly.
Really drunk Oompa Loompas.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
3 beeps on the go.
So you're pretty experienced with food and beer pairings. I'm not taking
I
a
like
step.
chocolate.
But you've done these before, right? How does this compare? You've done chocolate beer before.
Yeah.
Throwback even. They did one last year, right? Pretty same kind of style.
Same kind of thing. You want to try to find things that are going to be comparing frosting,
Yeah.
bring out other flavors.
Work is never done.
Yeah, but
We work for beer, so anything needs shutting down.
I would have had Jude. It would have been hard to tell you where to go. So.
Norm's a fast runner.
I'm a fast drinker.
And
So if the tank starts leaking, I'm your man.
I know people here come in. If you're doing something and you pour some beer out, and they're like, panicked. I'm like, it's okay. We have more.
It's cool. Don't worry about that.
Really smooth.
Again, the winter lager.
I always look forward to it every year. I just really,
Yeah.
Now, as a brand, do you feel that sometimes it's hard to do as many styles that you guys are currently brewing? I mean, there's when you look at it, anyone else in the market, you may possibly do more styles a year than anybody consistently.
yeah, I think was it over 50 this year you guys brewed.
Yikes.
I
I
don't even know what to say. I just say Jim Cook's gonna see this. Of course, I love making. It's, you know what it is? It's actually exciting to be able to have. We have a lot of ideas, so nobody ever says to us, "Oh, nope, you've done 30, you're good." If we have ideas for beers, then there's a really good chance that they're gonna make it out there. So that I think is fun. We don't get tired of it. Making them. That's the fun part. We have a ton of ideas, and some things will be, we'll have made here for years, just here, and then, they're like, oh, what if we made an imperial stout? Jim was down here one day. I'm like, oh, we do have some in the back. Let's bring it out and taste it. And everybody loved it. Oh, this is great. We've been making it here for like 5 years. So it's fun for us to be able to do that and bring them out. It can be a little hectic. I mean, we have a lot of like 54 beers. But not only does that bring out sort of our personalities and a lot of the beers that we like to make, I think it's for the craft drinker who likes a lot of different styles. It gives them a lot of opportunity to taste different styles and to showcase that we're interested in make a lot of different styles. So, I mean, do I wish that sometimes I could stop time and have more, I mean, the pace here is very fast paced. We're always making new beers. I mean, you've seen our brew house. We have a 10-barrel system. I mean, we're brewing, at least every day of the week, sometimes two, and it's just a lot of iterations. We have a small nano system that we brew on. We'll do a ton of iterations on that. So it's definitely exciting. It's definitely fast paced. It's probably not for everybody. But it for us, I mean, just interested in food and ingredients, that gives us sort of the arena to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think even from the market, there's a lot of people who like the Sam Adams mix packs, and they'll go and they'll try the different beers because it's available. For many other brewers out there of different sizes, the costs related to doing labels and the marketing and all that stuff around that many beers would just be unfathomable. It would be impossible to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's exactly true. I think one thing for us that I've loved, I mean, I've been here for 11 and a half years working here. Our size gives us, and the beer that we make allows us the opportunity to travel the world to get the ingredients that we're interested in. Some may be right around the corner from here, and some may be, Ecuadorian cacao nibs. Okay. But we can bring those to everybody and have people taste them, and we have that ability. And I think we are fortunate in that way, because I do agree it can be a challenge.
I jumped the gun. I'm just saying.
Which
Christmas.
one?
White Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. But I was gonna spoiler, really good. No, but
It's gonna be a white Christmas, but
yeah. I was gonna say, going off of Sean's point, you make great mix packs, and you see a lot of brewers doing mix pack implementation, and there's always that one that you're like, not really. But with Sam, I think even though you've replaced one this year, you're doing it for the right reasons, and there's no beer that's kind of like, no, it's all good. I mean, you're taking the right chances. I mean, it's good to kind of sneak the new ones in and try those out, and I think you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
if anything, it intrigues me more. Yeah. Like when you guys substitute one. Like there have been mixed packs, from other breweries that I'm just like Brian was saying.
Like that one beer from that brewery
exactly.
that's not in this pack.
Yeah, it's like let's hope it's not in there. But every time I come across one of your mixed packs, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm more intrigued because you guys put out such unique styles.
What I really liked was the mix packs that you've done the last 2 years of different IPAs. It was almost like an education as well. Like you get the hopology one. You got I can't remember what it's called, but you had all the single Lab 248 deconstructed last year. Like each year you do something a little different, just as almost like to show something different about IPAs or hoppy beers or something like that. It's almost
I think a few years ago, I was at the Craft Brewers Conference, and they were talking about IPAs and it's the rage. But soon that will decrease. People's interest will wane in that. But the reality is, it hasn't. People who are interested in hops or hop heads or whatever you want to call them, they're still around. They still want to drink those beers. So again, being able to brew so many styles is we can offer those things like the hopology to people, but then we still have some maltier beers for folks. We will be having hopology in 2013, and then we're working on a mixed 6-pack. So for some people don't want to buy the 12-pack, so that should be interesting to see how
It has
people
to be so labor. Well, it's all automated machine wise, but if it was done by hand, that would be crazy to do a mix 6.
They
Just
were
a bottle
originally,
of it.
when we first started doing these, which wasn't that long ago, it was done by hand, the repacking. But I think one reason, like our packs you were talking about and you're interested in them, is we actually put a lot of thought into beers that are going into the mix pack. So it's not just taking a bunch of our beers, because if someone's buying the Winter Classics collection, they're probably into winter styles of beer. The White Christmas was a departure for us. I mean, it's much different in color, obviously.
which one did we replace? The cream stout?
To the cherry lambic.
Cranberry Lambic.
I thought that was gone last year.
And cream stout was in it one year.
Not so
We've
much.
changed it up. It was a chocolate buck, and it had white ale. We had the black and brew in it last year.
Right.
That's what it was.
The cherry wheat's a tough one.
That was actually my first beer of all.
Do you know what's funny? People say, they're like, oh, that's the beer you guys make for the chicks. I actually don't know any women who drink it. Men drink it.
I love cherry.
And I think the reason is because it tastes like a beer.
Right.
I mean, it's not.
To me, it tastes like cough medicine.
You know what it's.
All right, listen.
Like Robitussin.
No, but for pots, it reminds me of the cigarettes. Do you remember cigarettes?
I say Loudon's cough drops.
It reminds me of cigarettes. Does that
The
smell?
Loudon's cough drop. The only beer I really don't like, I've told Jim this a few times, it's a cranberry lambic. I just can't get through a bottle of that.
You know what's funny? It's not in the pack this year. I have, people just call in and like, oh, hey, I want to talk to someone at the brewery. And answer the phone. I had this Jennifer like, where is the cranberry lambic? I'm like, who is this? Did my sister tell you to call? So, I mean, it is, we discontinued a few years ago the Old Fezziwig and the cranberry lambic. And there was like an outrage. And so we brought them back in the mixed pack. So I think that's the other thing the mixed pack gives us the opportunity to do is, you can bring in some styles and maybe it's not your favorite, but you can always trade them out and it's a little bit of a...
I love the old
Well,
fizzy.
let's go around the table then. What's your last? What's your favorite of the holiday mix pack? Winter mix pack?
Well,
Don't
we
say
know you
sure.
taste it.
Entire country.
Chocolate bar.
All right. Old fizzy.
Fezziwig, big fan.
Chocolate Bach.
All right.
Oof, split.
And right now, what is your...
Eyes of the nation. Watch it.
I just felt the same
Just
pressure
like,
about
oh,
minutes ago.
I love the Old Fezziwig too, actually, because I'm a big fan of winter
Yeah,
lager.
same way.
So I drink winter lager
Yeah.
a lot throughout the winter. But the Old Fezziwig, that's the first one I go to, like, if someone opens the pack or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, if I'm going to drink more than like one or two of them, I'd probably drink the lager, the winter lager. But just for one beer, I still like the Chocolate Bach. I think the best of the...
I think it's a good competition too. It kind of, you have a holiday party and you bring the case of beer, but it's just kind of like a pizza. You're watching how many slices are left over. You're doing that math, like there's only 2 Fezziwigs left in there. I gotta make sure I get my hands on one. Kind of
Yeah.
away from the first Fezziwig.
Right. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna move this over here.
Yeah.
And then you do the quick
I hide them
switch.
in my house. So, like, my nieces and nephew know they're in the crisper because that's where I keep their juice boxes. But then there's always, like, a couple of Fezziwig stuff down there.
Like, what's this?
Because everybody else goes in that fridge on football Sunday and they're grabbing, all the other beers.
So you keep
And I'm
those two
like,
just for yourself?
oh, we're out. And then I come out at
that one, yeah.
miraculously. Oh, I don't know. It was just in there. You guys didn't see it?
That's like at my house. If I have someone over, before they get there, I put the beers I don't want them to drink in my real fridge and leave the beer fridge with the ones they can have.
Yeah. A, we're not going there because a Foxy is going to bite us.
Yeah.
And B, Norm's going to have us be drinking Pilsner Urquell.
I
Like I'd have to spend money on that.
I actually didn't have beer once this fall for football Sunday. I was mortified. I guess I just forgot. I'd been traveling or something, and it was like Sunday morning, and I have Sports Center on, and I'm getting ready, and all of a sudden I open the fridge, I'm like, where's the beer?
Tag, got through it.
It was okay. Turns out you can also buy beer.
You can. Yeah.
When was the last time you had to do that, though?
November. I was like, what? This is...
Credit card company calls you up. There's
Yeah.
a weird charge
Yes.
on your card.
Oh my god, a 6-pack costs $9.
I know.
I skipped ahead just to keep things moving. We can, but
We can skip ahead.
I'm staring at the clock, just making sure we get it all in. But
Because we...
got the holiday porter and the nutty chocolate. This is where everyone watching is like, okay, well,
It's so
hurry up
quiet.
with it.
yeah,
Jeez.
The people watching won't mind, it's the people listening. Did the
What are
thing-
they doing?
Did my phone freeze up? No.
No, we have to keep doing this, so there's always some sound.
The next round.
So, just bringing in the conversation from last week,
Oh boy.
you know what I'm going to say?
I like you, don't. And I control all the beer, so...
We were just curious of what the thought was seasonal beer during the season that it was like
I gotta go.
the name of the season matching the release time of the specific beer that's available for that.
Basically, last week we had Chris Loring on.
Like, could you translate that for me? 'Cause I didn't
And his big thing is his big thing is that seasonals were originally created for a reason. Those one of the ingredients were available, and now you see pumpkin beers are in store in end of June, beginning of July. And one of the reasons he mentioned Sam Adams, he's very complimentary of the brewery at all, but he basically says, because of you guys, breweries are rushing out to seasonal, so when he releases a harvest ale in September, no one's buying it because they're already onto the winter beers. So basically the point is we're just wondering, why do you think seasonals are hitting the shelves so early? Because I think your pumpkin was out, mid-July this year?
August.
Was it August?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
Shipyard was out in July.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shipyard, yeah.
I think,
Shocking to us all.
yeah, I mean, I make beer, so that's
I
my
know.
area of expertise, but as everyone here knows, I'm always happy to add my opinion in and offer my opinion. I think I have seen over time just more and more breweries releasing earlier. Everyone wants to have their beer out there, and I think seasonally there is a transition time where you also have to sort of gauge what people are drinking and how much you're making, right? So I think there is some of those factors that come into it. Things like, our Oktoberfest, for example, was always out right around the last of August. And, September is traditionally Oktoberfest month. So, for the celebration and the origin of the Oktoberfest celebration. And, that timing will go back and forth from a couple weeks from there. So it's, mid-August now. The demand is there from the drinker. You're talking about beers that are brought out in July that would be typically maybe in October, right?
I was shocked to see it.
But that is a demand from a drinker. The drinkers want that. I'll see some of those beers, January, February, and they're still on draft, and a bartender will tell me, oh, we stock up on this. People love it. They don't care what time of year it is because it's their favorite. So I think that's what's driving that, and it's really the demand.
Yeah.
I think we sort of brew on demand for people.
And obviously it has to be driven by shelf space too. If one brewery comes out with a pumpkin in July, they're going to start getting to the seasonal space on the shelf, so other breweries start.
They want to get theirs out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable explosion of that type, too. It's true.
What month do you start brewing Sam Summer?
It's coming out next week.
No, we actually just brewed some here. That's why I was like, we've already brewed it. Does that bother you? It's 60 degrees out. Yeah, actually, we do it by the weather. It's 60 degrees.
So maybe it's like what's it, global warming pack here.
Yeah.
Summer, December.
Almore pictures favorite.
We have summer ale, I believe, is out right around mid-April, mid to late April. So we'll brew it, mid to late March. Start brewing it. But really kicking in the May. That's our longest available seasonal.
Comes out in May.
Yeah, usually May through August, and then there's some of that transition. I think the transition time used to be about 2 weeks for breweries who had seasonals, and I think now it's over a 4-week period. So if you're out, then you might go into your fall seasonal from there, and there's some transition time because some accounts want the fall beers just based on maybe their weather. You could be maybe out in Colorado and the weather's changing quicker. New England, you have nice Indian summer, so I think some of that's dependent. So it allows the accounts to actually buy what works for them and their customers.
I think I have never given my full opinion, but I think it's for
Never?
me. It's not. I've never.
Only give us a half right
Is it-
now.
is it-
You can't-
That's not what these guys are saying.
So I'm saying.
His nickname's his nickname's the fence sitter.
I thought you said Rush Limbaugh.
I will never. No. So with seasonals, it doesn't matter to me how early they come out per se, but I've been to a lot of beer stores where in October there's no Oktoberfest left, right? And it's gone earlier. So if it comes out early, that's fine. But I think for my only argument for the seasonal is, especially for Oktoberfest, 'cause that's my beer. But I would like it to stay through October at least. But
Oktoberfest traditionally is in September.
I know, yeah, she mentioned, but October.
No, October is when I drink the most Oktoberfest.
Right, it should at least last for its name.
Right.
I'm in the camp where I can buy Oktoberfest all year long. But while it's available, I like it to be available a little bit longer. But I'm just a voice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, Sean?
Not me.
Yeah, jeez.
Do you want the spring ale in January? Is that what you're asking?
I don't necessarily want the spring ale, but but no, I think there's definitely many sides to the argument of seasonals. Is early availability, that's fine for me if it can stay and last. Because I know I don't want to jump breweries, but Shipyard, it's gone before September now, and now bars are putting it on now saying we stored it since July and here it is, and it's like no one the hell wants that, but. It's becoming this competition.
That is really popular. I remember visiting my parents, and there's a great bar near their house, and I know the owners and just great family. And I was in there around Christmas, and I remember going, I'm like, oh, it says Oktoberfest, but they probably just didn't change the handle. So I'm like, I'll have a winter lager. And she's like, no, it's Oktoberfest. And I was like, oh. So I know the son. So I'm like, John, what's up with that Oktoberfest? He was so excited to tell me that they had ordered like the last 10 the wholesaler had, and they were saving because they knew people were going to be coming home around, Right. And I was like, okay, but that's not why we make it at this time. So I went into this whole thing, and he's like, I know, but I love it so. So we had a quick education on freshness, and now he doesn't do that anymore. But it is people who love it and they want to do that.
That must be kind of flattering, though. I mean, being a part of an organization like this where you're literally seeing organizations hoard your beer just to say that they have it. That has to be cool.
Or is it though because you make it with a date stamp?
I don't know which one you did. I mean, yes, no. Wait, now you guys are tricking me.
No date stamp, we hoard.
Hoard this. Yeah. It's a new TV show.
It's black.
I don't want that show. Coming out next fall. Sorry.
It is flattering, to your point. And yes, I would like people to pay attention to the freshness. I mean, even, with everything, my family, if we order, summer ales, they all come with lemon. Before my family can even touch their beer, I picked all the lemons out of them,
Get a chopstick.
Hey, you know what the brewer's saying is, if we wanted lemon in their beer, we'd put it in there. And they look at me, I'm like, I did, so it's in there. It's in there, you guys know this.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, well, maybe I wanted it on there. I'm like, no, you don't.
You don't know what you want.
So many times I go to a bar.
I'm going to tell you what you want.
There's so many times I go to a bar whenever I order a summer, and before they even started walking away, they're like, no lemon.
Yeah.
You don't want a lemon? No, I don't want a lemon. Everyone gets a lemon in it.
I don't want a lemon. Or when I'm like, no frozen glass, no lemon, please. And they're like, who's this lady? And then they, of course, I'm smelling it for an hour.
Yeah. There's a bar I go to, all the non-frozen glasses this size. So
give me 10 of those.
Yeah.
Just line them up.
Well, because then I'm the chunks floating in it, the icebergs.
I got a death stare a couple of weeks ago at a bar in Salem. I will not name it, but the guy hands me a beer already poured in the frozen glass, and I kind of took my hand away like this, like that. And he's like, "What's the matter? Is that not what you ordered?" I'm like, "Well, kinda." I didn't order a frozen glass like that. I don't want it to be frosted. I want it to be a regular one. He's like, "Well, we only have frozen ones," and I was like, I don't want it. Yeah. Like that, I'm like, just give me something.
No, they don't come out of the dishwasher frozen, buddy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's actually the other way around.
No, you actually don't have frozen matches. You made it frozen.
No. So confused. He's like, you don't want this? He kept trying to hand it to me. I'm like, okay, like that. And I was like, no, we've had this conversation many times. This is not gonna fly. No.
I think you see it less and less. I feel like people are really educated and understanding. And some people might say, hey, could you chill a glass for me? But I mean, most of any bar that's serving a lot of craft beers will, I think, hopefully, get that.
He was confused, and I feel bad, but.
Did you brew a beer for the employee long shot?
The answer is no, because I can't win it. But I brew a lot. Yeah, well, we can't. If you're a brewer, you can't win the contest. It kind of wouldn't be fair. Although I'd like to say we have so many good homebrewers in the company. I feel like it would actually be a really good competition. And maybe I'm saved myself because I don't have to compete against them because we have some really awesome brewers. Cool. And over the years since we started this, I think we did this the second year that I worked here, and just seeing sort of the evolution of the homebrew. I mean, there's some fanatics in the company, but most people just really like beer and they get into homebrewing, but they're not, they don't have a more beer system at their house or anything. And to me, that's really exciting. And they'll call me and say, I want to use this ingredient. I want to use elderflower. Where would I put it? Of course, I would never help anybody.
Where would you put it? Good question.
Well, sometimes I'm like, not anywhere near your beer, okay? You don't want to use that. So, no, and I actually haven't homebrewed in years because I just prefer to brew house because we all know
that's my
it's easier to brew in the brew house.
You like to do 300-gallon batches and 5-gallon batches.
Well, one year I turned in my home brew. It was a brew I made here. And they're like, well, that's not really fair. I'm like, well, why? That's my brew house. You have your brew house at home. And they're like, well, it's like home brewing. I'm like, well, I'm here a lot. This is like my home.
Right.
I'm conscious more here than I am at home.
And I do make sure everybody knows. I'm like, it is harder for you to homebrew than it is for me to brew here. I mean, we all know with everything. It's just so, my hat's off to all the folks, not only in our company, but anybody who homebrews, because it's definitely dedication.
It's a process.
Do they have the brewers be the judge? Or
We do, but what we do now is we actually have people come in our sales group and office, so we sort of create these like teams of judging. So everybody gets to judge because we have so many. We had a couple hundred beers this year, so they'll pick out, and then we have about 25 finalists. And Jim and then us brewers, we judge and get down to the 3 finalists of the employees that then go to the Great American Beer Festival, and then the folks there vote right there in the couple days that they're there at the festival.
Cool.
oh wow,
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, well, there's 2 things. One reason it's really good to have, I like to call it team building, you know, with everybody judging, but the real reason is because there's some dogs that maybe get pushed out of the way so we don't taste them. You know, just a few, you know. When you can eliminate by aroma alone. But it actually gives everybody, that has happened a couple times. But it really gives everybody in the company like appreciation for what people are brewing because they all get to taste it too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun and exciting.
I know we're running a little long. Do you want to finish these last 2 chocolate beer pairings?
Sure.
I just heard a football get kicked off, so we got to finish this.
I'm not even worried. I skipped the game so I could be with you guys, and
So we can be here all night.
Right. Oh, thanks.
I know. I wanted to get.
You have a TV
I wanted
right
to
behind
get.
you.
No, I wanted to get cable here. They're like, "What? So you can watch sports?" I'm like, "No, I never want to do that." Yeah, I know. I actually think I said at the time, I was like, well, "What if we needed to watch like the news or something?" And just everybody was looking at me like, "All right, never mind."
Everyone's looking at you.
Nothing's happening.
Everyone's like, that's a lie.
Yeah, it was a total lie.
Someone's having a baby in London. That's pretty much all we need to know. The rest of the day keeps
Right.
going forward. But
So now we're on the Old Fezziwig, which is a favorite.
Yes, with the classic milk, serious milk.
And this is like just in complete contrast because it's the milk
Oh, yeah.
chocolate, right?
Yeah.
So it's so
It's
much.
not- yeah.
Definitely, this is one I thought for sure I would put with the holiday porter.
that's what I did.
That's what you just did?
I was actually
You look horrified though.
that was actually the best pairing that I've had so far.
The holiday porter with this?
Yeah.
It's really good. But what I like the holiday porter better with the nuttiness. I thought the nutty one, it brought out a little more nut flavor, but that's the point. You can like whatever you.
You look like you want to spit it out. Like,
Well, because
I did not say that.
I just realized that I had these 2 switched.
He just lost his job opportunity here.
Or something. Like, oh, this is
Well, he won't be invited back, but that's okay.
Yeah. He's no longer a Samuel Adams ambassador.
I think going on
He'll be knocking on the door outside next time. Like I don't know who you are. I've never seen you before.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Crazy.
Have a little photo. Jen
No,
said
don't
you're.
let that guy in.
Jen says you're banned.
This photo just there.
You paired the wrong chocolate with the wrong beer.
wanted.
You don't want to get banned from the brewery.
I'd cry.
No. Wait, are there people banned from the brewery? So let me
I was
go
just
through
thinking
the
as I said that. No. Yeah,
Be
sure.
the first
I like to ask tour guides. Nick, can you ask? You do tours, right?
Nope.
No. Nope.
You think we would put that mug in front of our tour guests?
On camera.
Have you heard of any bad tour guests?
Oh, tour guests?
Yeah.
Like tour guides. You think I had?
Worst
No.
guest story?
I know Nick would be. He's by the camera now. I know he would be the best guy, but
He brings
I
the
will
worst
tell
out
you,
of people.
Silence, yeah.
we haven't had bad guests because I mean, in all honesty, if you think about it, we kind of have a captive audience. They made it
Right.
here.
This
They're gonna
is-
have beer.
Yeah.
You know, they've made the pilgrimage, if you will. It's not.
Right.
It's easy to get here, but mentally, it's hard to figure it out. Like people
Not
are like, well,
really.
how do we get here? Listen, I can't help you guys. I can't help you guys. I didn't say traffic. I said it's easy.
that's true.
I drove a tank to get here.
So people will. I mean, I think occasionally we have some hecklers, you know, where they want to help the tour guide. But I mean, we don't have any bad tour guests.
I think it's cool that, I mean, if you're coming for a tour, you get the label, and that's your tour, which I think is the coolest thing. You go anywhere else and you're like, come back at 1, just show them your sticker that says free tour. But I like the idea of having like the label, and like the old Fezziwig tour starts now, and it's like, it's awesome.
Well, you know what? That started because people would email me. I mean, even a few years ago, I mean, people think we're this big, large company, and we all do everything. And so I get a lot of the requests from people from all over the world who collect labels. So I'm like, that's so interesting. I never thought about that. I guess that's a really cool idea. And so I was thinking about it, and one guy on the tour once said, do you have a label I could take? I collect them. And I thought, well, that would be cool if you could just get a label from the tour. And then I thought, well, it would be cooler if it was your tour, you know. So, I was on the Chocolate Block tour.
Yeah.
So that's how that
That's
started.
cool. I like that.
And it's also turned out more efficient and easy to manage when you're like, we're on the Old Fezziwig tour,
Yeah.
you know.
The
So
1 o'clock or the 1:30?
nobody remembers,
Yeah.
especially if they go to Doyle's while they're waiting for the
For
tour
sure.
or something. It's like they have 3 beers, like I don't know which tour I was
Yes.
on.
Yeah.
We had our first Doors experience last time we were here.
Yes, we did.
It was,
Such a great spot.
oh yeah. First of all, bus driver.
Oh,
Amazing.
Heck, stand-up guy.
Oh,
But
truly
He is a
captivating
character,
experience.
yes.
Yeah.
and he, like, any information and sort of fun facts that he gives you, he has asked us to learn. I mean, he really took
So he
this so
wants to- he wants to
seriously.
be
He
the
wanted
driver.
to make the
That's-
experience because he saw how people were so into the experience here, and then he saw how people were really into the Doyle. I mean, Doyle's is a very cool pub. You don't find
very
pubs
cool.
like that around
Yeah.
much anymore. So, I mean, he's sort of made that whole experience, and it's just fun for folks. I mean, you could walk there, but it just makes the whole experience better.
Oh, that's great.
I don't enjoy listening to Sweet Caroline 27 times a day
Holy
in the
crap.
summertime.
Yeah, that was one
on
thing.
the way there and back.
Yeah, we were like-
Did he play that a couple times?
Yeah.
It was the only thing. I mean, everywhere around Boston we were
Isn't
there.
that the
So-
only song though that you're allowed to play in Boston?
There's a bar
No.
now called
No.
Rick Murphy's. Yeah.
Right, yeah, shipping up to Boston.
Aerosmith, Sweet
Oh,
Caroline.
he might play that. He might switch up with that one.
Right, yeah.
But I'll have my windows open in the summer, and
It's like
I'll be on
Boston
some
Now
call on
one.
speakerphone, and I'm like, "Sorry, the trolley's going by."
Oh, I love that song.
That's a bad song to play though. Dropkick Murphys. Everyone starts fighting on the bus
Right,
after
yeah.
a brewery tour. No,
Yeah.
not on my book.
Oh, they get rowdy.
You said that. Well, actually, it was like a strobe light and a disco ball.
Oh,
in
he,
there.
and he,
Yeah.
did,
Once they hit, we're like, oh, we don't know what we're going.
Right, we're like, are we on the
Do we
right
hit-
bus?
Do we hit
Yeah.
the
did he put the smoke machine on?
No. Thank God.
Fog machine, whatever you call it.
I would have jumped out the window to smoke in the car and know that.
Scratching.
We're going.
Oh yeah, it's got that, the strobe, the glitter ball.
It
the
was truly an
disco ball.
experience.
I have to take public transportation more if this is what it's like.
Yeah.
That's what tea is like every day.
Right.
Yeah, you,
Wow.
you
It's not
don't,
a
you don't ride
machine.
the. That's what the orange line is like. You should definitely take.
They don't have that out in the immense.
It's a smoke.
No. The last time I was on the orange one, I think I got stabbed.
And then you wrote about it the next day.
Yeah. I covered the guy.
Man,
Not on your way to the brewery though.
No.
Thanks,
No, no.
Norman.
Who's not invited back?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God. You guys are just dropping like flies now.
And then last but not least, and I
Yes.
think it's a perfect pairing because it's the chocolate vodka with the cacao.
Cacao.
Cow.
Puerto Rico.
Huh?
I don't know. Different language. But I think it tastes good because it's chocolate and chocolate. And just like I know my vodka sauces, I know my chocolate and beer.
It's a light one.
So
It's a light brown.
Yeah. Okay.
This one, right?
I should know. I've been eating these all day. I don't know which color it is.
You could be sick of chocolate by the end of the day.
Nope. Never.
so really, so
I could eat chocolate all the time.
interesting because
All the time.
you're a very picky eater in general, right?
Love chocolate.
Big chocolate fan.
Put chocolate on buffalo fingers.
Guess what? You're getting
Ew.
chocolate among
What?
Christmas.
I'm just joking.
Oh. He's definitely not invited back. You can't.
No, Jen's like,
Don't disgrace any buffalo flavored anything.
Jen's like, I'm gonna go home and try that tonight.
Buffalo flavored chocolate. That's what I was talking
Buffalo
about.
Hershey sauce.
Could be
and buffalo.
That would be
interesting.
very good.
I know someone who did a chocolate stout. What's it called? Donna Glaze. For Thanksgiving on their turkey. It was a
A base?
yeah.
Basing? Wow.
Whoa. Danger.
Really?
Seems a little gluttonous. Seems like
Yeah,
you
I would
raise
never.
the bar
I would
fast.
never do anything gluttonous.
That's
Like eat
cast,
chocolate all day long.
You're on 4 pounds of chocolate, right, today?
I probably have had 4 pounds of chocolate
that's
today.
cast iron chef level is a chocolate.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna let Sean come. I'm gonna see how much chocolate he can handle. He can come on my next chocolate eating day here.
Oh god.
No.
It's tough work, you know.
Can't wait for the
Hey,
diet.
I'm
Double
up for it.
This one's for you guys.
No, actually, like I said, I was a little worried that chocolate with the chocolate vodka might be a little too much, but I thought it went really
It was
well
good.
together.
Well, because it's the milk chocolate, I think this is roastier, but it has a
Yeah.
clean chocolate flavor, but it's a different flavor than the milk chocolate.
Yeah.
So it's sort of really
Yeah.
complementary.
I prefer milk chocolate more than dark chocolate myself. Just in general, I'm not a huge dark chocolate fan.
I usually tend to go for the dark chocolates these days.
I like the dark.
Yin and yang.
Sean, I mean you're a chocoholic.
He doesn't. He's not.
Do you prefer? You're just like
These are all empty, by the way.
I'm not judging. I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
he's been here only for an hour. He's eating more chocolate, and I've been eating chocolate for 4 hours.
If it's not Nestle,
He
it's
keeps
not for
folding them
him.
back up like that. So you
He's
don't
trying to.
know.
I noticed he was trying to
breaking
trick. Like
pieces like
he's
that.
gonna put it back in the box.
Stacks it up.
Here,
Now I found
you
it.
can have mine.
How big Sean having this?
Right, there you go.
Is it surprising that there's no white chocolate in it?
Ooh.
With the white Christmas, did you think? White chocolate
think.
Christmas?
Always thinking. Have you learned nothing about me?
No, this happened by accident. So,
I woke up.
Just
and this was
remember, I didn't
the-
say did you think. I
I
just
know,
said no
I got
white
it.
chocolate.
I'm keeping a mental note of all you guys.
The only one who's going to be allowed back is Carl, the only one who's not here tonight.
No, I mean, I didn't. They didn't send any white chocolate. I think the thing with white chocolate is you could definitely pair. It's going to be more on the milk chocolatey side as far as like a softer. And white chocolate's pretty sweet, so maybe something even like the holiday porter because it's on the roastier side.
The true white chocolate has no cacao in it though. It's not.
I'm
chocolate.
not. I don't.
Maybe Wikipedia tell me that one, or Food Network.
Because everything's true. I said something. I'm like, no, I read that on Wikipedia, and as soon as I said that, I was like, well, I mean,
yeah.
Someone wrote that.
someone wrote it on Wikipedia. I don't know if it's true.
Encyclopedia.
Right.
Encyclopedia.
And then someone else said, yeah, I agree, that's about it.
Yep. It's like, yes, I liked it. And they're like, yep, retweet, done.
It's funny, just having the milk chocolate, then taking a sip of this right after, actually really good. I actually like it better than the dark chocolate with it.
No more chocolate left.
Oh, he's got a whole new box now.
I'm pretty much.
I still got the empties.
Hey, I didn't need them all.
Oh, look at that.
All lined up.
The big reveal. Round 2, right, Sean?
It's round 2.
I'll come back in the morning. He's still gonna be in here with his little packets.
You go find that box that's supposed to be sold, empty.
Right. Those are hidden.
So now that we're done with the chocolate tasting, is there any other before we let you guys go because we're clearly running the show with this brewery right now. No.
It's a trick. I let you think you are, but that's.
Oh my god. The door's
Trapped.
locked. Yeah. No. What other fun facts do you have about St. Adams that kind of no one really knows? Fun facts.
I love fun facts.
I
We
need
call
fun
those
facts.
FFs. Fun facts.
Hey, you
Fun
only
Fact Friday.
shit on
Yeah.
Friday.
And yep, LLs, life lessons, and fun facts. That's what I like to help teach the youth that work here.
Yeah, they'll soon grow into it.
Those utes.
Yeah.
Those 2 utes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's a fun fact, I think a lot of people don't really understand, sort of what we do here in Boston. And when I can talk about my job and just the fact that, we're sort of always creating and innovating and making beers and that, that's really fun for us. But I know brewers who are smaller breweries and larger breweries than Boston Beer. And they're always amazed at sort of the freedom we have to brew what we want, to experiment. And that always, to me, is just something that's fun to talk to people about because, I mean, even smaller breweries, they oftentimes, just based on resources, they're just brewing to keep up with their production, and they don't have the sort of opportunity that we have here to really just innovate and experiment. And to me, that's a fun fact that we have here. And I think also that Jim you think you have like the crazy idea. You're like, I am going to do this. And Jim will start twirling his hair, and then he's like, have you thought about doing this or amping it up 300%? And you're like, damn it, why didn't I think of that? Like, he always does that, So you think you can kind of punk him and like, he's going to be shocked when I tell him this. He's like, great idea, And I'm like, oh, okay.
He's like, you mean this beer? It's like,
Yeah.
come on!
Yeah. I made that. Yeah, so,
So that was my third recipe for 1986.
right.
Yeah.
And he'll rattle it off from his head, of course,
Right.
so.
Pulls out a scroll. Yeah, according to them.
Yeah, and the Jim's here a lot. I think that's the other thing. I mean, if people, our tour guests can see it when they come, but I mean, he's always here. I'm usually like looking for him, so I have to look at the legs of the tank so I can see where he is.
I just want to see if it's still
I still got it.
So I can see where he is, to grab him, because he's always tasting out of tanks, and that's,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes.
You guys head in the tank.
yeah.
You're like, Jim, come on.
But I mean, to me, that's exciting too. That he's got the passion. I mean, I love coming to work every day, and so does he. And he's been doing it twice as long as I have. So that's
You
that's
kind of want
exciting.
that in any.
Yeah.
Especially this. You want to have a good crew, not just brewers, but staff in general, just to have that enthusiasm kind of spread to everyone that's coming here for the tours, getting the samples and all that. Otherwise you're just like going through an assembly line. Here's the beer, it tastes good, but you have that passion. It's clearly coming through with all of this.
Yeah, and our whole, we have people who work, in accounts payable that are just as passionate about beer as one of the brewers here. And to me, that you don't find that in every company, and you don't find it at every brewery. I mean, so it is a company of people who just love beer, and it's like we have our annual meeting where we all get together and people are like, oh man, yeah, annual meeting. I'm like, are you kidding? It's like we all get to have beers together. Like this is so awesome, you know? We play Beer Jeopardy. Like that's our team building. And it has gotten so competitive. I mean, it's awesome. And it's just so funny. And people just get really into it. I mean, I think we're a company of beer geeks, but I think a bunch of geeks in general. We just love that kind of stuff.
That's what you need, though.
Do you have any thoughts of what you see like happening in the future? Trends or even
I was like,
things
personally, or do you?
Yeah, well,
How are you?
She's like, I plan on having
No,
meetings
shorts will
all
not
year.
make a comeback.
yeah.
Well, it hasn't,
Right there.
it hasn't left some people.
What do you think about Z Cavaricci's?
You ever think you gotta brew Zima?
No. You know, I think, a few years ago we were looking and you would see people and you thought, well, this whole food craze, people are really getting into food. So the assumption for all of us was it's going to happen with beer, and it did. So I think that's going to continue. What the trend that we're seeing too is with really young people into it. So typically, it might be someone who's maybe 25 or older because they're working and they have maybe a little bit more money and so they're focused on that. But I feel like the sort of generation coming up is a little bit more cosmopolitan than a lot, and so I think it's just starting younger. So I think the increase of craft drinkers is just going to continue to grow. And I would hope that, as you see home brewing increase again, and you see all these new breweries. I mean, to me, that's so exciting. There's so many breweries around Massachusetts and New England alone. That's awesome. I mean, that's really exciting. So I think they're very well thought out. It seems like, there was a big craze, in the 80s, and then a lot of them closed within a year. And you're seeing a lot more success, and I think people are starting out and really thinking about how do I brew? We get calls all the time. People, Jim, I said, go meet with them, tell them everything you can about running a brewery. And I like that we do that. I mean, I'm proud to be able to help someone and say, for what it's worth, this is what I know. So I think we'll continue to see that. I think that's exciting.
It's nice that you guys have like that mentor mentality, though. I mean, it's not like other industries where it's like cutthroat. And you're like trying to trip up the competition. I mean, you guys are okay with being like, maybe you should try this. That just speaks volumes to the type of culture that you
Well, the brewers are not competitive. I mean, we have a lot of breweries locally right near us, and the brewers are all friends. I don't know what's happening in the sales. That's probably a little tough. I know. I tell Shane, like, oh, one of my best friends works over there. But we're all trying to do the same thing, and by growing and educating all these drinkers to craft beer, it's actually helpful for everybody. So, it only helps everybody.
I guess we'll bring it full circle, we'll close it. I mean, you've been more than gracious to open up the brewery to us, but looking ahead to the future, maybe 20-some odd days from now, is there going to be a new, I only go 3 weeks out.
I thought you were going to say like 20 years, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. When none of us can speak, no.
1 month from now.
Infinium 2013, is that in the works? Is there going to be an Infinium? Per se?
You know what? I'm notorious for always giving out all the information anyways, so.
I mean, we can cut whatever you want, but it's...
I don't know. We have not confirmed that or not.
Okay.
So I think we were interested in looking at, we loved what we had brewed, looking into some ways to, is there a different ingredient we can use? Is there something else we can use to make the beer? So, people think that we have these plans for the brand, and now we're focused on 2014 or 2015. No, we don't. It's sort of.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's just sort of we kind of go with it, what we're making here. So we don't sort of commit to things.
I think it's apparent for the variety packs. You're not really. I think Sean was saying you're not committed. You switch it out.
Yeah, it gives us the ability to do that. You will definitely see Infinium in the future at some point, I would say. But I think right now, I don't know if it's 2013 or 2014 or.
Cool. Final thoughts from the table. Start with
He's
chocolate
a
boy.
chocolate cola.
Yeah, he's a chocolate
I'm glad to be able to taste the
boy. This is.
Utopias, which is good. Nice and smooth.
I'm just happy to be here. Every time I'm here, I just get a great vibe. Just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here.
No crying. There is no crying at the brewery.
I told myself I wouldn't. Every time.
No, again, just thanks for having us, and I'm sure I'll be back here in a couple weeks like usual.
I'll be back tomorrow.
I pretend I haven't seen him in a long time when he comes. Hey!
Sean, can I get that one of them bottles that has beer in it before we can, so we can do the toast at the end of this?
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. This is really fun, and
Yeah.
obviously, anytime you guys want to come talk about beer.
And I'm only 25 minutes past your drop dead time.
Yes. Sorry, I hear you guys.
It's okay.
It's like